Welcome to the Course Creators Podcast with course design expert Jenny Rice. Whether you're an experienced creator or just starting out, this podcast helps build courses that resonate, transform, and make an impact. Each episode, we'll explore strategies and tips to help you create engaging, successful courses. Let's dive in.
Hi, this is Jenny Rice from Course Creators Podcast. I'm really excited about our guest tonight. We've got Jack Rasmussen from Jack Raz Academy. Welcome, Jack.
Hi, Jenny. Thanks for having me. It's an
Yeah,
honor to be on.
yeah, I'm really excited to have you as a guest. So why don't we start a little bit? Tell me about yourself and your background.
Yeah, of course. Well, I am only 24 years old. I grew up in California in a small town called Los Gatos, California, in the Bay Area. And I went to the University of Southern California in Los Angeles, where I studied business, cinematic arts, and journalism. So I love storytelling. I love writing as well. And I wrote two best-selling nonfiction books. And naturally, I wanted to spread the content of those books. The first one's called Fine Dining. The second one is called Yin Yang. And a few startups later and some business knowledge later, I decided to create my own academy. So I did that last year and it's still in the beginning stages, but it's called Jack Raz Academy. And right now we have two courses. So I'm excited to discuss those courses with you.
That'd be great. Yeah, what a great background you have. And from what I understand too, you've done a lot of different things in your background that's probably all brought you to this point, all that knowledge and experience, right?
Yeah, I was a Fulbright scholar. So after I graduated from USC in 2022, I went to Taiwan for a year, probably the best year of my life so far. It was amazing. I taught English there, so I love teaching, and I knew I always wanted to do more teaching in my life. So hopefully through this, I can do more and more and keep getting the opportunities to transfer knowledge and to help students grow. That's really one of my favorite things to do is to see people grow over their lifetime. And so that is kind of the main point of this academy. And I also worked with the National Science Foundation through Screen 360 TV. And through that startup, it's an ed tech startup where we use international films to teach cultural literacy. Right now, we're focused on the international baccalaureate community. But through that startup, I also got to practice teaching and kind of moderating class sessions. So I've been training for a while, trying to study, the best way to teach. And it's all kind of culminated in this academy, and I'm still testing things out. So hopefully, it can continue to grow and get better.
That's great. You have such a lot of experience for your age. It's almost like you're a wise old soul. It's impresses me that way. So
Thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate that.
So why don't you tell me more about your courses that you offer and the transformation you provide? It'd be great for our listeners to hear more about that.
Yeah, so right now there's two courses. As I said, I've studied English throughout my life. I took advanced English in high school, and then I studied journalism in college, and then I wrote two books, and now I'm writing another one, and I write articles as well. So my first course is called Poetic Justice. It's actually teaching people how to write poetically. And so it gets back to the basics. I think a lot of people forget where writing comes from, the roots of writing, the rules of writing, the grammar of writing, what different elements you can incorporate in your writing to make it more enticing or to get a point across in a better way. So, the basics like alliteration, which I love to use if people read my stuff. I love alliteration, rhyming schemes, metaphors, similes, imagery, just the different techniques you can use to sort of capture people with your writing better. So that's my first course called Poetic Justice. And then my second course is called Brew Balance 101. A lot of people thought it
Mm.
was a food course because my first book is called Fine Dining, but it's actually more connected to my second book called Yin Yang because it's about spirituality. And it's basically a beginner's guide or a beginner's introduction to spirituality. So, what does spirituality mean? It doesn't necessarily focus on one religion, although Taoism is heavily represented in my work because I wrote about yin yang, which is the symbol of Taoism. But I just talk about religion in general, and it's an introduction. So there's some pieces on the Tao Te Ching, which is by Lao Tzu. It's the book for Taoism, and I like connecting that book to all spirituality, Christianity. I'm a Christian, Judaism, Islam, and several others. So I like to explore the fluidity of spirituality and sort of help people come to understand that, it can be a very positive vehicle in your life if you use it in the right ways.
That's great. So giving people insight into how spirituality in different religions and how maybe they overlap and they're similar and how you can find your way through that is did I get that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying one is the best or, I'm just saying I'm giving people a glimpse and hopefully they can discover their own path because everyone has their own way of discovering, themselves and spirituality and higher power. So it's however you want to look at it, but it's an introduction to hopefully help you explore your spirituality a little bit more and open your eyes to Eastern spirituality and what that has done, because a lot of Eastern spirituality has influenced what we in the West, in the United States, do spiritually. A lot of it has come from Eastern tradition. So just understanding that, even and the history of that, is very powerful as well.
That's great. So you can learn about Eastern religion, but also find yourself in that too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the yin yang symbol, for example, it comes from, China in Taoism, but we see it all the time in American culture. We see it on billboards, we see it on clothes, we see it in writing, and I think some people forget what it represents or forget that it comes from religion even. They just look at it as a symbol. Same thing with the cross. It has become abundant. People wear it around their necks and people put it on, posters, and they forget what the meaning's diluted because it's used so much, and we forget that it comes from Christianity, that Jesus died on the cross. It's a symbol of strength, it's a symbol of sacrifice, of pain, of resilience. And so just remembering, the significance of religion and how it shows up in our life. But yeah, I have found a lot of significance in Eastern Asian religions, and that's why I hope I can also bring those religions to more people like me who've grown up in California.
Yeah, no, that's great. I actually spent a week at a Buddhist monastery in the Himalayas in Nepal studying Buddhism. And it was amazing to go there and live there, eat with them, pray with them, and learn, the perspective of it. It was amazing. It was great fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it probably strengthened your spirituality and opened your eyes, and now you have a newfound appreciation probably for all the religion you were studying prior to that visit, right? Because it you see the parallels.
absolutely. But I remember being really cold too. No hot water, no heating. So, um,
Yeah, that's tough. That's a lot of sacrifice. Yeah,
yeah, but it was worth it. It was fascinating. It was a great week. So yeah, lots of fun.
that's great.
Okay.
That's on my bucket list.
There you go. There you go. So
Yeah.
what was maybe a challenge that you faced in creating your course and how did you overcome it?
I think I wanted to put a lot in both because there's so much knowledge that I wanted to share, and there's so much knowledge on both topics that I think narrowing it down can be really difficult. How long of a course to make? I ended up just making them short courses, short beginners courses, just so you could get a glimpse of the topic and chat with other students in the class with you or the course with you, and then, hopefully get one-on-one with me where I can view your projects that you do. So very short. I was gonna make it long, a lot of tests, a lot of quizzes, but I decided to just keep it simple. I think simple is the way to go, at least for now, keeping it simple.
Yeah, I find a lot of times we know so much about something. I mean, we're kind of like a race car driver trying to teach somebody how
Mhm.
to drive a car. And we
Right.
have so much knowledge in our head, we want to put a lot into it because there's so much value add in there. But we have to remember, what do our learners really need and what do they need to get to the accomplishment you want them to receive at the end of the course? And so I think you're wise in doing that and saying, keep it simple. And if they want more, they can come back for more, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah,
then another course can come,
there we
part two
go.
or something, you know?
Yep, go deeper for
Right.
sure. Awesome. So as we
Exactly.
end the podcast, do you have any tips you have for other course creators?
Yeah, I think don't overthink it. I kept putting it off because I thought, I have to write another book or something, or I have to, I felt like I was missing something, but then I just decided to do it. And I think it doesn't hurt to just put one foot in and then see how it feels. And so I decided on the software I wanted to use, and then I went all in, and I did it in the summer. I spent probably a good month just brainstorming and pulling things together and curriculum together. And I've created courses before with syllabi, and so I was used to it. And but I would say just go for it, but definitely have a plan. I would say create an outline of the course, create a syllabus, and then work from there. And then you can start to gather different tools or maybe different concepts you want to include, different books or films you want to include. And then once you build the foundation, you can start adding more things on top of it to make it a richer experience. But you'll never know until you have, your first few courses or your first few students who can give you feedback. And then you can start sharpening the course and the tools and seeing how, your students grow over time as well.
Yeah. I heard two things there. I heard do a design outline, which designs your course, like you said, a syllabus, so that you know what you're putting in your course. You know what's in, what's out, what's not. I also heard different use of media. You talked about
Mhm.
movies and books and stories. So it's not just about one way to deliver the content, it's about doing different media to make it more interesting, right?
Absolutely, yes. I highly encourage a lot of media. I think my most memorable classes that I've ever taken myself, the teachers have always incorporated several different pieces of media, whether it was books, articles, films, short stories, creative writing, even hands-on activities, field trips. So things like that, I thought about a lot. I definitely encourage that.
That's great. Sounds like an amazing course. You have to give me the information.
Yeah, yeah. You'll have to join, Jenny.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
very insightful and very helpful and very inspiring too. At such a young age, I've done so much, and to sort of, as you said, took a month, put your mind to it, and went and did it, and it's very exciting. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. And I appreciate everything you're doing. This is very cool to bring together course creators, a very great idea. So I applaud
Oh,
you.
good. Thank you. Appreciate that. So this is Jenny Rice with Course Creators Podcast with my very special guest tonight, Jack Rasmussen from Jack Raz Academy. Thank you again.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks for listening to the Course Creators Podcast. For more insights and to connect with a community of creators, join our Course Creator channel on The Great Discovery. We offer both free and premium memberships. Check the link below. Until next time, keep creating, inspiring, and transforming lives.